Star Wars fans. Hey, there are just 335 days until Christmas 2022. Oh, the world is beginning to return to some sort of normalcy, whatever that is. It looks like we may be able to have regular kind of summer things going on. Star Wars celebrations coming up. We've got all kinds of things this summer and Star Wars news to talk about. And today is Monday. So it's Monday. It must mean that Jason Ward is here. Hey, Jason.
How's it going?
It's going well.
I was just on Santa's side. I was like, what am I doing on Santa's side? Get back on the other side.
We may have to have Mark reverse the names at the bottom, because he always puts mine in the bottom right, and then if it's Meg or it's you, it's on the left, or it's a magic maker, and then always have to flip them on Melon, because Melon always wants to put me on the left. And anyway,
don't blame Melon for Mark's mistakes. Mark, you fellows for the last time, Mark. It's like, I'm just being a nice guy trying to help out.
Yeah, I know.
Nice problem.
What just happened? And hey, you guys, we are getting ready for week 5 predictions. So we'll be talking about our week 5 kind of preview, what we think is coming up, where the show is going, and help inform your decisions or not. Right? Maybe what you say is that Jason and Santa dude are full of crap. And so
that's right.
I'm going to say everything opposite of them because they're wrong. They're wrong. That's maybe, I don't know.
Do that. It'll be fun.
Your friendly neighborhood green bear. Looks like Santa just chopped down 2 trees. I do have my lumberjack shirt on today. It's all good. So right wing Santa. I am a right wing guy. For those that don't know, I hide it fairly well here, but in my personal life, I am a relatively conservative right wing kind of dude. Anyway, don't want to go there. We're all free to have our own opinions, and they're all welcome here. And even if you don't like the sequels, we could still be friends.
Except for when you call me the Pinko Dinko. That kind of hurts my feelings when you keep calling me that. Hey, you Pinko Dinko. I feel kind of like, but lesser than. But it's okay, Santa. It's okay.
I save that for Rob. Rob is the most pinko guy that I think I know. No, I'm just kidding. Rob's a great guy too, and he gives good insight. I enjoy your guys' show when I can catch it, and so we've got some things going on today. You'll hear the construction again. We've got the electricians here, and they're reframing things and moving doors and walls, and we've got all kinds of fun things going upstairs. So you guys will hear that. And contrary to the rumors, it's not the elves striking, revolting, or trying to escape.
It's not. It's Santa's Beat Factory. He's starting a Beat Factory. He's going to be rapping. He's going to do a rapping Santa thing for next Christmas. And he really thinks it's going to really double profits.
The elves are always singing and laughing and having a great time. They love their jobs. Oh my goodness! Yes, the elves live in a right to work North Pole. Right? It's oh my goodness for the political side of that. Hey, so week 5. We know we've kind of talked about it a lot already, but at the end of episode 4, we heard the Mandalorian theme song.
Yeah,
and there's been rumors forever that Din Djarin was going to be in the Book of Boba Fett, so it's very natural to say, "Well, that means Din Djarin. That means Din Djarin's going to be in the show and next week." And what I want to just kind of throw out there, and I've heard a lot of people kind of talking about it, is does it mean Din Djarin? Is it exclusive to Din Djarin, or might we see other folks? So like Grief Karga, for example. What about the client? What about, or is he dead? Is he dead?
I think he may be dead by this point.
Yeah, he was killed. he was killed. But yeah, so you could see Grief Karga, you might see Casca Reeves, Bo Katan, or that whole group of Mandos, right? The whole covert of Mandos. What do you think? Are we going to
say
see?
Yes to all of it.
Yeah,
I think the theme is specifically placed to allude to Din for sure. That's the point. But I also think all of that other stuff comes with Din. So my prediction has been that we're going to see him need to hire Mando, which could bring Grief Karga in. He may go to him to hire him, or it could go the other way, where he goes to Din and then Din takes him to Grief to hire more through him. I think both of those possibilities are there, but for me, I just think it means Din Djarin specifically. I mean, they clearly they just had that little adventure together. You know what I mean? In terms of the story, they don't necessarily owe each other anything, but they seem to be on pretty good terms. And it does seem like if he has no one to go to in the Mandalorian world, that's the one guy he knows. He just met him. So he's gonna and they did a gig together and it went well. So I have a feeling that that's simply all that it is. But I am willing to entertain to go down other rabbit holes to see just to explore what those possibilities are.
Exactly. And if you guys would do the YouTube things, you know what those are. Please do the YouTube things. That would be great. Yeah. That would be great. My subscribers keep going up and down and up and down. But I hopefully all the folks here all know. I see somebody here. This guy right here, he's a troublemaker. I seem to attract lots of troublemakers. You being one of them, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know I was chatting this morning on Messenger, and this is Dave. If you guys don't know Dave Tree from All the Cool Stuff, and he and Martin Keeler host a podcast, and they interviewed me last year for it, and that started something. And David won't let go of it. He won't let go of it. You'll see him in the chat. He's up to no good. He's Ronnie said, yeah. Mark's not wrong there too, right? I attract a lot of troublemakers wishing to corrupt me. And Meg, Meg, mods are here to take care of the troublemakers. The mods are the troublemakers. I don't know what you mean. Like Mark's a troublemaker. Meg is one of the head troublemakers, and so we have a lot of fun here. And
I Star Wars Reform School almost.
I think I've learned that YouTube doesn't like certain terms, and there are terms used for people who maybe overzealously support a franchise, and they're given a label, and that label, if YouTube hears it, they demonetize you because they think that people are being mean.
The one that starts with an SH?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it's like when you like to cook your food on a grill.
Yeah.
You start it with the other letters. Yeah, that's how that happens.
Got it.
Right. Okay. Those in the chat have figured it out, and if I say it, I'm going to try not saying it. If I don't say it, maybe they won't demonetize it, and then I have to appeal and say, no, we're friends here. We when I was in the Army, we used to call each other terrible names, but it was a sign of affection. Like I liked you if I called you something. If I just called you by your name, I probably didn't like you.
Like right? Pinko Dinko.
Right. That means we're friends.
Okay.
That means we're friends. If you use some of these other words, then YouTube doesn't know. And YouTube likes to say, "Oh, they're being toxic man babies." That's probably another one. So I probably just demonetized myself right there. You guys, we're all friends here. We all have different opinions. So you can use Meg's term. What did Meg say in the chat? I saw it back up there. There you go. McShillington the shill, right?
Maybe if you just go use Google, Google good, use Google. Like sometimes they just
Right,
undo it all.
right.
They're like, you know what? Free it's changed. It's good. It's on our side.
Yeah, you're right. You can curse all you want. You can say all the, what was it? George Farland. Wait a minute. That's not his last name. George Carlin. George Carlin had that the 7 words you couldn't say on TV bit. You could say all those 7 words in YouTube, and you're fine. But you say shill, demonetized.
You just said it.
I know. It's over. It's over. I give. It's hard to figure out YouTube and why they demonetize. And then I always have to say, no, we're friends. We're laughing, right?
Yeah.
It's we're having a good time. Nobody's mad. This isn't that, right? I said the word, right? I know. I it's like the monster at the end of this book. I love that book. But anyway, I chase rabbits. I told Jason before we came on live, we can chase all the rabbits down all the holes today. Right? There's no problem. We'll just have fun talking some Star Wars. So yeah, I think episode 5. I think it's very possible we're going to see, and Meg talked about it in her video today. We're going to see Mandalorians. I think we're going to see more than Din. We very well could see Bo-Katan and perhaps the Covert. My question, I want to talk a little bit about the Darksaber, because we keep getting on different interpretation. I saw Star Wars Theory last week did a thing on Din Djarin has the Darksaber, therefore he is the rightful ruler of Mandalore. I say, hold on, slow your roll. Having the Darksaber doesn't bequeath rulership of Mandalore.
Let's fight about it. That's what they're going to say.
Well, yeah, it depends on if you are of the way, right? It seems that there are people who, and we saw it with the armor, right? She's got the horns on her helmet that showed that she was one of the believers of Maul being the ruler of Mandalore, because he had the Darksaber. So there were people who bought into Maul being the ruler of Mandalore because he had it. There were other people said, he's not my ruler. And so you had some division there, right? So what do you think? You think you have the Darksaber, you're the ruler?
I think that they're almost potentially laying out like more of like, I don't know, is this the right word? Is it dogmatic? Like almost like two different ways of taking Mandalore. And I think we saw that set up in the Clone Wars, where you had these very conservative, traditionalist, if you will, in terms of the allure. And then you have like Satine, who comes about and she's like, hey, we don't have to be, we don't have to be animals. We don't have to be this warring people. We could be a little bit more pragmatic. And then you have the Death Watch pop up and become super powerful on that backdrop. So, and then, what's her name? Bo-Katan. I can never remember the name Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan goes, and then she's completely about the original ways. And then she jumps once an off-worlder becomes Mandalore. Once Maul takes power, she's like, no, this isn't what we signed up for. Right. And she jumps out. So right there, that's where she almost has this tone of like, I used to be in the cult too. When she's talking to a Din, she's like she calls it a cult. And so I think that we're gonna have two competing ideals there. And on one hand, though, it makes Din as a figure a pretty strong person to unite those two things, in a sense that he could follow the rigid rules of the old way. He totally was all about it, lived by it. So that's got to get him some respect with the remnants of that cult. Right. So exactly. I think that's kind of where it's going in the end. Is that it? I think everyone maybe by the end of it will see reason how that's, I picked up the remote, therefore I'm the TV master now. Like that's a silly concept.
Right.
But it happened.
I think he could make a strong claim should he want to do that. But we've seen where he says, I don't want this. You can have it. Let me give it away. And he's trying to get rid of the thing. He has no, at least at this point, he has no desire to be that guy. There's another thing that also, as Ronnie put, right, like a MacGuffin. There's another item that can give somebody a claim to rule Mandalore, and that's that helmet, right? The mask of Mandalore. If you've got that, so if somebody has the mask and somebody else has the Darksaber, who's the rightful ruler? Does mask? Is it like rock paper scissors? Mask beats saber. Saber beats mask. I don't know. What are the rules? What?
Well, one thing that I was wondering, and this somebody else probably has a better answer to it, but it's come across my mind a couple times. Moff Gideon has the saber, so I almost feel like to some degree, whether he got it legitimately or not, he probably plays almost like a legal ownership of it. Like and with the way that it transferred, was that actually like within the rights of the ritual? Was it a fight to the death? It wasn't, and stuff like that. So is there still something weird going on where Moff Gideon is still able to like lay claim, or are some people still going to be siding with him because it wasn't rightfully taken in a way where they dueled it out or something like that? I keep wondering if there's going to be some kind of like little catch-22 to the whole thing where they just can't make it make sense. And Moff Gideon comes back. Why does he come back? I keep wondering if some of those cultists are going to bust him out.
Yeah, I'm with you. And Salty Texas Ranger is sort of on the same wavelength that I'm on. That Sabine won the saber at one point, and she had a rightful claim, and she gave it to Bo, and Bo then asked, and they she took the saber, and the people bequeathed her the rule of Mandalore. They were like, yes, we will follow you. But then she lost it along the way.
Yeah.
Bo never earned the saber. However, Sabine did. Sabine definitely did. If you were to bring her back with the saber, I could see Din saying, I yield, whatever, like he tried to do with Bo. She already rightfully won it, and she never lost it in battle. She could take it back because she got it rightfully.
Yeah.
And then she could lay the claim and they could follow Sabine. I could see that coming about.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think in the end, in terms of just the way that the creative flow worked, that was in essence a mistake? That now they have to come up with some terms apply, little asterisk here that we're going to learn about down the road? That's what I keep wondering personally when I think of that.
It is tough. And Anthony, I saw your comment about the MacGuffin, and I there are different ideologies, and that's what we're kind of getting to, right? Some ideologies within Mandalorians, the Mandalore culture, say if you're holding the thing, you're the ruler. Others say, oh, not so fast. You can make a claim to rule, but that doesn't. We don't have to agree to it. We don't have to say yeah. So it could be anything else. So it could be the mask. Somebody shows up with the mask and says, I am the Mandalore. And they say, oh, we'll follow you. And that's why I brought up the rock, paper, scissors thing, right? Mask beats Darksaber. Darksaber beats mask. What's the rules? Who do you follow if you got two different dudes, right? Yeah. So, or folks, two different folks. They don't have to be dudes. They certainly not. So, right. Which brings us to this casting news, right? So there was this casting news for Ahsoka about Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And there's been a lot of talk. Who is she playing?
It's been Hera.
I think Hera is a strong choice. Mark said she could be Dr. Afra because she has some Asian lineage as well. So she's mixed. So she could carry being Dr. Afra. But I think Hera Syndulla is a good choice. We also saw who was the lady that we think is going to be Sabine. There was somebody else. And
Oh yeah.
I was making a link there to Sabine, because if they introduce Sabine, we know that Sabine should be in the Ahsoka series. There's lots of rumors of Sabine being in the Ahsoka series. But if Sabine is there, we have a problem if she's the ruler of Mandalore and she's out searching for Ezra Bridger, right?
Yeah, those things don't really line up, I would say, in terms of priorities.
Right. So there's a lot of questions, and it makes us what Sheev. What makes you say Hera so fast, Jason?
No, I'm just fooling around. I was thinking she really could play Hera though. It seems like a possibility. I think the voice actor of Hera could literally play Hera, but they tend to not go that way. It tends to not happen like that. So I'm not expecting it to. Right. But I mean, I think if the actual safest bet is it's a totally new character, that's probably truly in the end what she's going to end up, who she's going to end up playing is a totally new character in my opinion.
But Anthony wanted me to bring this to you. I think we talked about this though, and Anthony, I think we addressed this. It is the dark saber, the MacGuffin that the actual ruler, the monarchy's handed down from a family member. I don't think so. I think it depends what faction you belong to, but let's see.
It's like dogs with a bone. Whichever dog has that big bone is the top dog. Like that's like conceptually, that's all that it really, I think all it comes down to personally.
Some good stuff. Let's see.
And then Seth Nico says Pre Vizsla had it. And I think, and then Pre Vizsla has it during a time when Satine is trying to bring rule and order and not just barbaric, like Klingon style warrior ways to their culture, and trying to even get them to be a part of the Republic during a civil war that's about to break out, essentially. So yeah, and I think that's also what gave Pre Vizsla was using it as a symbol for sort of like a heritage and the past, and that stuff's powerful. And that's how he was using it against that government to overthrow it. And in the end, he does.
Yeah. And we know the heavy armorer or the heavy Mandalorian from season 1 of the Mandalorian. Yeah. The heavy Mandalorian was a Vizsla. Pax, I think.
Yeah.
Pax. But so
it's voiced by Jon Favreau, I think, as well.
So and I saw the comment from Salty Texas Ranger. If they bring Hera in, they better make her hot. Well, I think Mary Elizabeth fits the order.
Yeah,
I mean that's Santa's opinion.
I will second the opinion that in terms of hot, that's it. She checks the box there, right? The heavy infantry. That's it, Dale. Thanks. So Paz Vizsla. Paz. Ewan McGregor agrees.
Yeah,
right? Maybe with her. That's Obi-Wan Kenobi, man. Come on.
That's right. So anyway, I think that's the deal. I think she could be playing Hera. And
now their action figures can kiss. Just saying. Sure.
Well, when eventually Hasbro gets around to making that, right? That's it. So as far as the Darksaber is concerned, there's been this kind of thread going through some of the fans talking about, okay, so Boba Fett, he's going to call his buddy Den and say, hey buddy, can you come over, and when you're over, can you bring the Darksaber with you? That'd be super cool. And so Din say, yeah, no problem, pal. I'll be right there. And so he shows up with the Darksaber, and so then of course Boba Fett says, hey, you mind if I borrow that for a little while? I really like to borrow it. I'll give it back later. And he says, "Oh, sure, buddy, have it. You can have it." And then Boba Fett gets it and says, "Oh, I am the rightful ruler of Mandalore. I call all Mandalorians to come and beat down on these daggone
on this girl named Kira. She keeps beating me up and causing me problems with the little red stormtrooper guys."
Right. And what's up with these pikes anyway? You know, take care of them. And so they beat up all the pikes in Red Dawn, and he goes, there you go. Now then you can have your saber back.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just like, okay, I follow the thread.
What I like about what it may be implying, though, in terms of like future kind of problems, is like if you look at like let's just pretend Din goes and becomes the ruler of Mandalore, and he does it, like he becomes the guy, right? But then you have this Boba Fett connection, and then the criminal underworld, and so you are almost immediately having the underworld putting power and force onto the next Mandalore, like regime, if you will. Whatever designs they have, they now have this criminal underbelly at its behest, and like that's immediately almost like ripe for corruption, or for it not to be the most, you know, democratic kind of like brought in part of the new republic. And that could lead. And then if we look down the road, once we get to the sequel trilogy era, Din is pretty much about to die, if not having already died by that point. So that may be setting up the roots for some sort of like Mandalore's return kind of thing, but on the big conquering scale, with evil stuffs, maybe.
Yeah. And I see in the chat there's a bot. We've got plenty of mods in the chat. You guys deploy the hammer, kill the bots. We're good. You raised some interesting points when we get to the sequel trilogy area, because I've been kind of floating this as well, that during the sequel trilogy era, we don't know what's going on with Mandalorians and Mandalore. Yeah. We don't see them. We don't hear any talk of them. Maybe they're their own governing force and nobody messes with them. I don't know. Maybe they're exterminated. They don't exist anymore. Maybe they're minding their own business and they're ruling Mandalore and they're over the way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Same with our blue skin, red-eyed dudes, right? Like where's Thrawn? What's he doing during the sequel trilogy? He'd be really old for one. But what about the other chiss? What's going on with
I actually want to hit on that. Like do we know from the novels that if they age at the same rate as humans and stuff like that? We always hear like stuff about age, but so like Cad Bane would be really old. I think I saw that recently in one of Meg's videos, and I was just like, well, what if Duros lived to be 400? Like he might just be the same dude. Like maybe I don't know. I mean, but it's an alien creature. It's always worth like considering. Maybe Grogu's 50 and he's a baby.
Right. most humanoid looking species age approximately the same. So I've looked into this before. So when you get into Cad Bane is a
Duros.
Duros.
I knew it.
Yeah. They live approximately the same age as humans, 80s, like that. Okay. It's the same thing with Twi'leks, and it's the same thing with Togrudans. All of them.
So we don't get any of those like Highlander stories where they make a little tentacle baby and then he's like, I have to watch you grow old while we don't get any of that jazz. They just are all the same. Okay.
Yeah, and she brings it up. Yeah, he did the research as well. Like there was a time where we were asking a bunch of these questions, especially Sheev and I, because we've got this bet going on. I desperately want to see Sheev in Santa's cabin doing his live streams from the cabin, but we'll see. But they do age like humans. All of the humanoid like species that more or less human looking age approximately the same. There might be slight differences, but it's a Star Wars thing where it's one of those where you wonder, do all the planets revolve around their suns at the same speed as all the other planets? And do they all rotate on their axis at the same rate as others? So when you say it's whatever o'clock on what planet, right? Like maybe they've only got a 13 and a half hours.
That's why they have standard rotations. Excuse me. Standard rotations, I believe, was the explanation.
Yeah. You have
listen to Pablo Hidalgo at Star Wars Celebration 3. You would know this.
Good job, Jason. Yeah, I've only got my readers here, so I could do that. Wait, hold on a second. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Right. So you just can't get too deep into it. But yeah, they live approximately same kind of age length. So so right. But where are the rest of the Chiss? What's going on with the Chiss ascendancy? Assuming that the Chiss ascendancy still exists, why aren't they mucking around with things? Where's Thrawn been? We already know that Ahsoka's looking for Thrawn. What's he been up to? What's going on? So there's all kinds of questions that aren't answered.
Right.
And, there's a lot of stories that can be told, which I think is super exciting and leads us to our next story. Mm-hmm. Leads us to another bit of transition. And it's this, right? Children of Blood and Bone was dumped. Yeah. And there's a story behind this, and I think there's some conversation to be had. When I first heard that Children of Blood and Bone was going to be picked up, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me go read it. And I read it, and I was like, oh, this is not the story for me. All right, I didn't care for the story.
What is the gist of the story? I never read it. I don't.
It's the gist of the story is you've got a group of like witches. If you think more like, what is it down in the Bahamas, that religion where they can
like voodoo and stuff?
Yeah, like voodoo. Yeah, like voodoo. These are like voodoo priestesses and stuff. Okay. And they can wield certain powers over people. Yeah, voodoo. And so Children of Blood and Bone is sort of like a voodoo tribe of sorts. And you've got a protagonist in there working her way through and all that.
Yeah.
And so as I was reading through it, I'm like, oh, I get it. Voodoo. Yeah. And the story is very very left-leaning political social commentary. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of political overtones and social justice kind of overtones.
He means Pinko Dinko. He just doesn't want to say it in front of you guys. Go ahead. No, I was kidding. Sorry.
Which is why it wasn't the story for me. I was oh, I see. You're preaching at me. I don't like it. I don't like your politics. And I just I read it and I was like, okay, not story for me. Not probably the movie I'm going to enjoy for my own personal reasons, but a lot of people may love it.
Yeah.
And so Children of Blood and Bone, they got into a bit of a arm wrestling match with the author who wanted to do the screenplay, and they were like, no, we'll do it ourselves, thank you. And so they were kind of feuding over it. And in the end of it, they said, you know what, we're just going to let this go. They let it expire and they sold it off to Paramount. Paramount's going to run with it. Great. And now they're going to focus more on Star Wars projects. And Anthony asked a question way up at the very beginning. So Anthony, I saw your question. I was waiting to get to it. Anthony asked, there are all these projects announced. Children of Blood and Bone, one of them, and Rangers of the New Republic, and on and on and on. And many of those now are dead, right? So that press conference things where Kathy Kennedy stood on stage and announced all the things, yeah, that's not aging well. That's not aging well at all. Right. But it does say in this that they're going to focus more on the Disney Plus series around Star Wars and Lucasfilm specifically, Star Wars, Willow, and what was the other one? There's three.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're going to focus on those and tell those stories,
which I think is the right way to go. I mean, it would be nice to have Kathleen Kennedy produced films because she's always produced really great films in the end. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you have a corporation like Disney that literally owns Fox, Lucasfilm, and Disney itself, and so on, it's like, do you really need Lucasfilm making movies? No, Lucasfilm should just be making Star Wars and Indiana Jones and Willow, Lucasfilm properties that it's known for. I wouldn't even. I mean, I'm kind of glad that it's staying there, but I wouldn't even mind if Willow was just a general Disney project at this point. I don't even think it necessarily even needs to be a Lucasfilm. In a weird way, it's even weird that Lucasfilm even exists. It should just be called Star Wars at this point, because it's really all that it's really going to be doing in the big picture. Indiana Jones, I don't think there's going to be that much Indiana Jones coming.
Well,
not anytime soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I want Lucasfilm to exist. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that. But in the big picture of what it really is at the end of the day, it's the Star Wars department. That's really, truly what it is. And it's kind of a weird facade to pretend like it's anything else. It's the Star Wars department of Disney.
Most people hear Lucasfilm and they think Star Wars, rightfully so.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to see Lucasfilm grow in other titles. Outside Star Wars. As mentioned, Willow or Indiana Jones. They tried to do an Indiana Jones series back in the day. That didn't go so well. Kieran, is Willow filming yet? Yes, Willow has been filming, and I encourage you, go subscribe to makingstarwars.net and follow this guy.
Yeah, I have some Willow scoops and set photos and stories, and Warwick Davis is being a little prima donna. I'm going to tell you guys, is what I'm hearing, but it's a thing.
You told me that some time ago, and I've
yeah.
I don't talk about it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But,
so, are they going to replace Rangers New Republic with another series based around Hera? I think what we have seen is that story got broken apart. That's what we're hearing, right? It got broken apart into Mando 3. Perhaps smidges here and there in other shows. And at the end of the day, with this story that we get from the Children of Blood and Bone, right, bit, I think there's likely several projects in the works that kind of fill that void and they're focusing on. And who knows? We heard the number 11 thrown out there, right? Like there are 11 different projects.
Yeah, well, I had heard, I reported like, I don't know, 3 months ago now, maybe, that there were 10 projects coming to Manhattan Beach. That's what they're being told. And then today you hear they are dropping blood and bone to focus on this 10 other things. I think that there's a lot going on. Excuse me, I'm getting the sniffles. But anyways, I don't really buy tinfoil hat moment here.
Okay.
I don't buy Rangers of the New Republic is canceled.
And I've been running with that for some time.
I don't buy it. Just there's I have a couple of reasons to things I can't talk about, but for the most part, I think because nothing was written. That's the thing I kept trying to say the whole time. I'm like, you guys, nothing has been written. It's not canceled. Nothing has been written. So with that in mind, I gotta say, I just think it's gonna end up going where it gets a different title to dodge the politics.
Right. Yeah. And I've been running with that because you said that some time ago. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Jason said this and it makes sense to me. If it wasn't written, it could literally be about anything they want it to be because nothing's written. Right. Yeah. They have a scope. Like they made a pitch. They said, here's our pitch. We want to do this show and it's going to be XYZ. Right. So the sand has shifted. So now maybe it's going to be about something entirely different. And we did several weeks where we talked about George Lucas's sequel trilogy. And if you follow that thread all the way through that sequel trilogy, there are at least 3 distinct storylines that developed around it. All this, George Lucas's sequel trilogy. Yeah. The same is true here. Rangers of the New Republic. There was an outline or a pitch. The sand has moved. They'll just rewrite that pitch, and whether it comes out with that title, Rangers of the New Republic, or not, and what its scope will be is hard to tell. Anthony's asking to some degree, is that going to be Hera Syndulla centric? Is it going to be based around the Ghost crew? I think would be a fair question to ask.
It's actually, yeah. I mean, I think that's a good question to ask with where Ahsoka's going to launch. What Ahsoka's going to launch? She's going to introduce in a bunch of characters that she gets to contend with. But then once her character's done with those characters, what happens to them? Where do they go? What do they do? Because my understanding of Rangers was always that it was going to be the place where all of these characters who are heroes can constantly be teaming up. That
Sheev, I know where your question comes from. I know where this question comes from. Boba the Maul of Dave's sequels. I just watched Star Wars News Network this morning. They did a show. They did a podcast, and they released it this morning, where they're talking about. You have it backwards, though. It would be, is Cad Bane the Maul of Dave's sequels, where they talk about bringing Cad Bane into Boba, much the way that Maul was brought into Rebels. And Maul came in. He was kind of given Obi-Wan some lip, like, look how old you've gotten, old man, blah, 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 right? That whole storyline. If you don't know that storyline, go watch Rebels. It's worth it. Sheev's a huge Rebels fan. So I know Sheev knows exactly what I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't follow the blah, 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 blah part, go watch Rebels. You'll get it. So Maul shows up. They have a fight and Maul dies, right? Spoiler, Maul dies. So
broken heart.
he broken heart.
Yeah, he does have a broken heart.
But we do see where Obi-Wan and Maul have this little moment at the end, right? And could it be that they bring in Cad Bane in a similar fashion as Dave did with Maul to meet with Boba, and they have this same sort of storyline play itself out? So perhaps not. And it doesn't mean that she, before you get too excited, she calm yourself down. Just relax, right? I know you're getting super, super hyped. He's like, oh, I'm all the hyped, right? But she calmed down. It doesn't mean that Cad Bane has to die, right? So it doesn't mean that, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. I mean, it could literally mean anything. I mean, they have such an open palette with it,
right?
They could really take it. They can really take it any way they want. Cad Bane, though, does feel like the kind of guy who would always stay an independent contractor.
Yeah.
I'm mostly joking. Look up here. I got my up here's my.
Oh, there you
see it. My
little
Warwick Davis autograph.
Nice.
But no, I don't know the details, but I do know that like 2 people from Willow walked, and were replaced at some point. I don't know why. I have a feeling that Warwick Davis knows Willow, and they have new people coming on who are trying to act like they are in a different project, and he's like, "That's not Willow." That's kind of the vibe I get. At least that's how I'm deciding to take it.
Much as Mark Hamill said, that's not Luke Skywalker. We're getting the same sort of thing with Mark as we are with Warwick and Willow. So that's sort of what's happening from what you talked to me about. And I don't want to spill any tea. This is Jason's tea to spill when Jason's ready to spill it. And you can do that on your channel, and that's really where that belongs. But you should be subscribed to Jason's channel, and then he can really put on the tinfoil hat and talk about aliens.
I'll do it. I'll do it on Saturday. I'll do it. I don't care.
Don't start. And you totally need to have Meg on to talk about aliens.
I want to. Whatever she will, I will make it happen.
Meg orders her tinfoil hat from the same store you get yours from. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. So you should definitely have Meg on your
Tom DeLonge. We know he's not lying. We believe in him.
You need to have her on to talk about aliens. She's ready to talk. She's ready to go down.
I'm ready to believe you.
She's ready. She absolutely is. Will Morgan, my room is lined in tinfoil. Will Morgan, huge fan of Meta Egg, and Will Morgan, you guys. So there's another topic, and again, we're kind of just chasing rabbits down their rabbit holes.
Little robotic rabbits inside of Jabba the Hutt's kitchen.
So we're all over the board, but I want to bring up that the mentioned Cad Bane showing up perhaps in the Book of Boba Fett. I think that it's likely, and I don't think that they necessarily have to be opposed to one another. There's a lot of theories that say Cad Bane might be hired by Crimson Dawn. Cad Bane might be hired by the Pikes. Cad Bane, whatever, is going to be the muscle, and he and Boba are going to have this fight again. I said, "Oh, slow your roll again." Like he and Black Chrysanthemum, they fought because there was a little deal, but at the end of the day, now they're buddies. They're working alongside, and it could very well be that Boba Fett calls out to his old cohort, Cad Bane, and says, "I need some muscle here to fight these Pikes. Why don't you come on over?" I'm just saying. They don't have to be fighting one another, and that makes me unpopular. Meg is like, "No, Santa, you're wrong. Shut up."
Well, you know what thing that's come to my mind about this too is like I'm not super invested in the comics, but I did find it like I tried to justify the attitude of Boba to Black Chrysanthemum in the television show versus the comics. And it's clear in the comics had no idea that, I mean, the scripts for Book of Boba had no idea that they really knew each other. They really didn't. It didn't even throw out any kind of game. At first I was like, well, he does know he's a gladiator, but I'm like, that doesn't really pertain. They just give him that backstory in the end. So in the end, I don't think any of that really connects at all.
I quit hearing everything you said after you said Black Chrysanthemum. No, Satin.
Oh, Black Satin.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you said Black or Satin, I'm like, ooh,
I'm stuffed up, Santa. I'm stuffed up.
I know you are. Black or Satin.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but we just had Fennec Shand face off against Cad Bane, and the first time we've seen Cad Bane in quite a while. Do you think when we get to Book of Boba, if he shows up, do they know each other, or is it a first meeting again? Because if it is a first meeting there, ooh, that does not feel good. That's going to be disappointing. If that's going to really, really show where things are, that things are where they aren't what they are where they say they are, in terms of animated shows and comic books and stuff like that. And I hope when they do meet, or if they do, I hope it is acknowledged that like Bad Batch happened.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go. You raised another topic. So didn't they confirm Kira isn't in the show? Kira must be in the show. It depends who you ask. It depends who you ask. I've developed a theory that she's going to be in a post-credit scene, but that's completely theoretical at this point. I heard you and Rob talk about it. What are your thoughts? What are your current thoughts? I know it's a moving target. What are your current thoughts on Kira showing up?
Right now, just based off of what we have, I mean, Star Wars always does. There's always a bigger fish moment, right? So that would be the opportunity for that. But right now, I don't feel like that's where it's going. Right now, I don't feel like the story, which is so convoluted between the flash forwards and between the flashbacks and the current timelines, adding a fourth party in there saying Crimson Dawn, it's just, in general audiences are just going to be like, what?
Yeah, who's this lady? Why do we care? Yeah,
enough, and I think that there's power in the casting because of who the actor is. I think that the actor transcends Star Wars and is just known out in the pop culture, and more than any of the other people who have been cast recently. Who was the lady who was cast in Ahsoka today? I can't remember her name right now.
But Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, most people, I don't think most women, in fact, will go, oh, it's her. That's great. But when they see Amelia Clark, I think they have a different reaction in the terms of the pop culture. So I do think that there's a little bit of casting value in that part that carries over. But in terms of like people just following the story, it's a bit much, and it has to come out, I think, at the very end almost.
Yeah.
But I mean, but you do, if the series continues, you do have to have Boba just continuing to step in it in a bigger way, and then progressing as the stakes get bigger and bigger. Almost every crime show ever where you have an anti-hero, that's essentially the format, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I heard you and Rob talking about bring Amelia Clark in. Most normies know her from
Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Khaleesi.
They're gonna know her as Khaleesi. Oh, look, Dragon Lady.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be like, oh, she's Han Solo's girlfriend in Solo. Although what Salty Texas Ranger said here is pretty dope. Kira and Han to hook up, and Leia catch him. So Leia comes in and says, "Oh, you're sleeping with my man," and then that's why they're separated, because he was unfaithful to Leia.
No. Leia's like, it's the 70s. Move over, because it's still the space 70s for them.
See,
right?
I told you guys at the top of the show, this guy here, he's one of the troublemakers.
Just trying to contextualize it, It was like a Three's Company era, man. It was different. Han Solo's Jack Tripper. Everybody
Meg
knows
is
that.
feeling feisty. Meg's feeling better. It's good to see you feeling better, Meg. Our argument is full of Pucky, right? So she's
well, I will say, I know I agree with where you're going with that, Meg, but Bo-Katan showing up was just Bo-Katan showing up. It literally could have just been like Larry, but they were like, this is Bo-Katan. If it's oh no, it's the next big bad guy, and then it's Crimson Dawn, like if that goes, then to the general audiences, they do just go, I don't care. It ends up like it's like they care about that as much as they care about Clone Wars or Rebels.
Jason, Salty Texas Rangers giving you a name, right? Princess Leia.
Princess Leia. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you guys are killing me. It's absolutely fantastic. Let me get to this other, because it does bring up other possibilities. I saw this going around on Star Wars Meg's Discord this morning, and anytime you bring up Daniel Logan and Sheev the Wise is in, he gets a notification. He said, "Oh, somebody uttered Daniel Logan's name. Sheev the Wise is on it. Yeah. He is on it. He's a stalker. He as he said on Meg's Discord, he knows when like Santa knows when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good. So be good, for goodness sake. Well, that's Sheev with Daniel Logan. He knows everything. He knows all Daniel Logan's comings and goings. He's got all the Daniel Logan. So Daniel Logan retweeted this. Mace Windu will always be the coolest Jedi. And he retweeted it. Let me turn it off.
All right.
So, yes, he knows when Daniel Logan showers, because Sheev the Wise is hanging out in Daniel Logan's shower, and he goes, "Oh, can I wash your back for you?" Right? That's Sheev.
Oi, get him, Dad! That's what he says, and then he does it.
So Kiru posted this. Mace Windu will always be the coolest. Daniel Logan says, "Well, hashtag Boba Fett." Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, what do you think?
I think it's just teasing. I think it's just he played Boba Fett, and Boba Fett has an animosity towards the character that Daniel Logan played into during the Clone Wars. And I really do think, if by some chance, let's just pretend Daniel Logan's playing young Boba Fett in the next episode, and Mace Windu shows up, guess who just got on the bad list at Lucasfilm? And that's Daniel. And he's been involved with them for so long. I think he knows what he can do and what he can't do. I think he might even kind of be on. They might even be mad at him about this.
No. Well, Meg has been saying all along, and I think there's a strong argument that Mace Windu is going to be in the Book of Boba Fett. There's a strong connection. We saw all of those flashback scenes to Camino, and Boba remembering and holding his dad's helmet right after he was decapitated by Mace Windu. There's a lot of setup. It would be putting you in a cold shower if they don't deliver on the setup. That's Meg's argument. And
I totally agree with her. I'm 100% with her on the whole thing of it going that way. It's low hanging fruit, but it's right there, and it's great. And everybody, it's like they would have to just be contrarians to not end up doing it, in my opinion. But when they do it is more of my question.
Right. Meg put it in the chat, right? I was saying this without saying this, Meg. Oh my goodness. I do think that it's very likely he is going to show up. And there was, Anthony, I saw your question before, and I'm working. I'm getting there. Hold on. So, I think that Mace Windu will. I think it's very likely he'll show up. We've got this week. We've got Bryce Dallas Howard's episode.
Right.
It makes sense to tie into the Mandalorian. We had the theme song. Bryce Dallas Howard's been involved with the Mandalorian and bringing in other Mandalorians, Bo-Katan, the whole thing, the Night Owls. She's up for that job. She could absolutely do that. After all, she's the one who introduced them in the first place. So we could absolutely see that. And then Bibby, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Just to say Meg's right. Of course Meg's right, because it's Star Wars Meg. We love her. She's the best. Except when she's trolling me.
I'll agree with whatever Meg says for super chats.
Yeah, me too. That's great. Look, I think so. If Bryce Dallas Howard's doing this episode, she introduced the Night Owls, and that she did that episode where they took that ship. She could absolutely bring them in. The next episode is Dave Filoni's episode. A lot of speculation that could be the Cad Bane episode because that's Dave's.
I buy the logic in that. For once, fan rumors and logic. That's the one time I'm like, that you're making sense now. You're guessing right.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Where does Mace come in? Because we're back to, so if this is Night Owls, and then we get the Cad Bane. Which episode is there's only 3. When do we get Mace Windu, and how and why and what's going on? Like, how does the story set up for him to be the payoff?
For everyone's favorite theory to pay off, we are running out of time in terms of Crimson Dawn and Mace Windu. Right. All at and I almost feel like at this point they have to double up on him. Yeah, if it's going to happen, like Kira has to show up and be like, "Look, you work for me now. Oh, and by the way, I know where the man who killed your father is." Something like that.
€5 super chat. Last scene in Book of Boba Fett. Black hand with purple lightsaber. Meg faints and needs CPR. That is how that would happen. That's pretty much it. Thank you for that, Star Wars Fits. Appreciate the super chat. Right, we're running out of runway. Right?
Yeah,
we're absolutely running out of runway, and I don't know how you get all of it in. Right? Something's not going to happen, and so people are going to be like, "Oh, this was supposed to happen, and it didn't."
You know what I actually fear? Meg said, "What's up with the opening stuff with the water planet and all that?" And I hope I am wrong, but they may be able to justify it with he's seeing his birthplace, the water planet, and then when he gets the lizard up the nose and has his rebirth in the desert, he's back to his birth. Kind of, I think thematically they could actually make that be it, and boy, that will be a bummer. If that's all that I think if it was just a novel, they could justify it like through that.
Bring
But,
oceans back to Tatooine. Bring the oceans back to Tatooine. They've been kind of setting it up. It could be that. I'm just running out of runway with you, right? I can see the end of the runway coming, and the wheels are coming up, and there's just no more space to fit all of it in. I don't know how you're going to get Crimson Dawn. I don't know how you're going to get Mace Windu and all of the other. Right, I'm just running out of it. I just don't know.
If Crimson Dawn shows up, I feel like at this point it can't be to fight in this season. It has to be like setting up.
I came up with it. Okay,
so,
here we go. We get Akira come back, and guess who her muscle is? Muscle is Mace Windu.
Yeah.
Yes, he works for Kira now.
Yeah, I don't think he would do it.
Oh, come on, you're ruining all the fun.
He's so uptight. There's just no way he got fun. I'm just saying. There's just no way.
You're right.
I mean, he's like, oh, I don't trust anything or anybody or anything. You know, and everybody is going around. So yeah, that's where I actually find it like fascinating, because I'm like, if you do bring Mace back, you know, is he like just like, do they just go with the generic he's guarding a tomb, he's guarding a place kind of thing, you know, and waiting to die until the next generation deals with it? Or like, you know, or is he, because if you go with like he's like a criminal, that's a hard one to go from, oh, I was like the leader of the Jedi Council, I had some pride, now I'm a criminal. Like that's where I'm like, that doesn't really, those numbers don't really compute for me. But hey, you never know. I mean, there are connections between the underworld and like the Rebel Alliance throughout the years, and maybe he ended up going that way, but I doubt it. Personally,
I'm just trying to make it fit, right? We got a square peg in a round hole. Sometimes you just got to push extra hard.
That's You're welcome, Meg. I feel like I helped him say that. You're welcome, Meg.
Yeah, that's it. Lastly, there's and Meg had this in her video today. Timing of episodes, and again, this is where I lose all of my shield dollars. I earn them, and then I lose them.
Now you are not a shill, because now you're not making any money.
I'm not making any money. I said
the opposite of a shill by saying shill.
I know. Good point. The issue I have, Lucasfilm, we don't know when anything's happening because they haven't told us. They haven't said. All we have are little bits of things like, oh, we're supposed to get this series in the third quarter of 2022. Well, what's third quarter of 2022 mean? On whose quarter?
Why are they talking to us like we were in a Walmart? Talk to us like, just give us the freaking release date.
Why can't you put out a schedule that says, hey, here's what's coming in 2022? March, we're going to get the Bad Batch season 2. May, you're going to get Kenobi. I don't know, whatever, right? Like, put a calendar out. For Pete's sake, you gave us all these series in that investor call that's not aging well. We talked about before, right? I get like, we're super excited about these pitches. We're going to move forward with them. Yay, go team. And then none of that happens. But you certainly can't be afraid that if we announce Bad Batch season 2 is coming on March 5th or whatever, I don't know, whatever that Wednesday is. And then, we actually had to move it. You have to know, right?
Yeah.
You have to know when Bad Batch season 2 is happening. When is it happening? We saw a little thing that said spring 2022. What's that mean? March, April? When is, like, can we at least get a date for Bad Batch? We're less than 90 days out, I would think. I don't know. We got 3 episodes left of Book of Boba Fett. 1, 2, 3. What happens on that 4th week? Like, what?
They hope you don't unsubscribe, so they're going to keep you in the dark so you don't. Maybe I won't cancel my subscription as a Star Wars fan because Obi-Wan Kenobi might come on the very next day, and then you know it's not. Yeah, but, I mean, I don't really get what they're. mindset is on that one.
I'm going to come back in May. I'm going to cancel my subscription right after the last episode of Boba Fett. I'm going to save myself $8 a month for 3 months, and then I'm going to start it again. But who knows? And then if the Book of Boba Fett, the Bad Batch season 2 is another 16 episodes, 16 weeks. 16 weeks. Well, you start to put a calendar up and you start counting 16. Then that blows the date for all you're doing, Lucasfilm, all you're doing, if you're listening, which they're not, I could care less about me. I'm already anyway. Let us know the schedule. You're going to do 8 episodes of the Bad Batch, and then Kenobi, and 8 more episodes of the Bad Batch, and then we get Andor, and is Andor 8 episodes? Is it 12 episodes? Are we 6 and 6? Or what are you doing? What are you doing?
I think that one is going to be 6 and 6 in the end. I think
how the heck do we know?
I hope not, but I think that's what they're going to do.
Exactly. How do we know anything? How do we know anything? They haven't told us diddly nothing, and you're left with speculation. And
it's ultimately Disney. At the end of the day, either way you cut it, Lucasfilm is Disney. Disney is Lucasfilm. But I do wonder if Lucasfilm itself has any control here, or if they simply turn over the finished product and then it's up to Disney itself to schedule, coordinate, and put stuff out. And if that's the holdup, because in the past we used to get release dates,
right?
Now we don't even get that. I don't know if is that Disney Plus trying to be pragmatic and malleable around the market. I have no idea.
I have no idea. And right now the fans are Poe Dameron, and Lucasfilm is General what's her name?
Captain Phasma?
No. From
Holdo.
Holdo. Yeah, Admiral Holdo. Right. Lucasfilm is Holdo, and the fans are Poe Dameron. Please tell me you have a plan. Right. What's the plan? Just tell me the plan. All I need to know is the plan. Just tell us there's a plan.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do? We don't. We don't know. It makes me crazy. So I don't know what to do.
Let me ask you one question I've been meaning to ask you. Bad Batch episode or season 1, it exists and it continued on a story of some characters from Clone Wars. But what it contributed is it showed us what happened to the clones post Order 66, post Clone Wars, and how they transitioned from clones to stormtroopers. That's what it gave us. What is season 2 of Bad Batch? What is it going to give us? What is the angle? That's kind of my concern for it. Is I'm afraid that it might just be a bunch of, oh look, the big guy's falling on his head again, and the little girl is telling them what's right. And I'm hoping that there's some angle that we learn about the show that gives us what is the contribution to the Star Wars mythos or whatever? What is it? And that's where I'm a little bit afraid. I don't know if I care right now about Bad Batch season 2. I want to, but I don't know if I do.
Space A-Team. They're going to put the red stripe on their
on the van, the space van.
Yeah. It'll be all Space A-Team from here on out. No, I think we're going to continue to see Omega's story arc develop as she starts to become a heroine herself, right? So I do expect to see Omega's growth, as Yadi put in here. That's where I think we're headed. I desperately want to see her take the white proto armor and become that, kind of embrace, maybe be a Mandalorian, which raises another question that I have, right? There's all kinds of fun things to speculate about. If we're going to get Omega's growth, and I believe we will, when are we going to get Omega in live action? And that was Anthony's question before, and that I kind of just waited on. When are we going to get Omega in live action? I think it's too early for Boba season 1, which is going to raise some questions eventually, where Boba is going to learn about Omega. It doesn't seem that he knows about her now. Maybe it just, there's no indication that he does. We know that Fennec knows about Omega. It's going to raise a question at some point for Boba to be like, wait a second. You knew I had a sister for how long? And when did you decide you were going to let me know? right? I could see it becoming an issue which separates Boba from Fennec.
Right. I
There's
mean,
got to be some accountability. Right?
is that even a story? I mean, in terms of, I was kind of making fun of it earlier about like how he doesn't know anything about the Black Wookiee, even though they like went on adventures together. Does Fennec Shand get a pass? Like would she remember the kid on one job that that she did 20 years ago? Like, are they going to get a pass on that, you think?
Well, that all becomes sort of yeah, Meg. Do we know how important Omega is yet? No, we don't. But that if we're going to talk about Bad Batch season 2 and Omega's character arc continuing, is Fennec and Omega going to have? Are they going to be? Is Fennec going to be part of Omega's story? Is really, I think, what you're mentioning, right? If Fennec isn't involved with Omega at all from here on out, then maybe it's like, what? It was some little brat when I was just starting out.
I fought Cad Bane. That's like that's what she's going to remember. I had to go at it with Cad Bane, maybe.
Yeah, but I've been theorizing for some time that during the original trilogy, Fennec and Omega are going to be a team. They're going to go out and they're going to be doing things together. Fennec has offered many times, or several times already, to I'm trying to help you, Omega. I'm here to help. I'm not here to take you. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I do think that that's where we're headed with the Bad Batch, is Omega's continuing growth, and the stories involved will be more tying to perhaps Tarkin and continuing the replacement program of stormtroopers for clones, and them having run-ins with Tarkin and his cronies, and seeing Omega, her character arc as she grows into a member of the Bad Batch fully herself. So I think that's where we're headed. And if Fennec is part of Omega's story, then Fennec has some reckoning coming up. Is sort of where I'm getting to with that.
Yeah, it would probably be more. On one hand, it would probably be more powerful to have Boba figure out at this age that he has a family member, and in a weird way that does open him up to weaknesses that he didn't have before. If they do go that route too.
So Anthony's asked us all about timelines again. It kind of gets, and I don't want to go too deep, Anthony. I saw your comment, but we're running out of time here. I've got some appointments I've got to run to shortly. Jason has a show to prepare for. He's got coming up at the top of the hour. The Bad Batch happens right after the Clone Wars. Then Kenobi happens, 10 years after that?
About a decade after, yeah.
Yeah.
And Andor's around that time. And Andor's a little about 5 years after-ish, after Kenobi.
Andor and Kenobi have a chance to overlap somewhere, perhaps.
Yeah, it could.
Bad Batch and Kenobi have a potential to overlap somewhere. Unlikely, but could. But it'd be after. So you'd have Bad Batch season 2, then some time, then Kenobi, a little time, then Andor, then the original trilogy, then some time, and Mandalorian season 1, Mandalorian season 2, followed by Boba Fett. So, and then probably Mando 3, Ahsoka, all of those right after that. So they're all like right in that time frame.
Yeah, so if it helps, like Luke Skywalker is like a baby during Bad Batch. He's about 10 years old during Kenobi. He's about 15 years old during Andor, and then he's about 18 to 20 during A New Hope. So if that helps.
Why is nobody talking about Dave Filoni retconning George Lucas's statement that there's no underwear in space? Why is nobody talking about how come Boba Fett's wearing underwear when George Lucas clearly said we don't have underwear in Star Wars? Look,
get to Photoshop, you guys. Get to Photoshop and give it George Lucas's original vision, and write to Disney and say this is the Star Wars you demand. George Lucas's Star Wars.
Not my Star Wars. They're wearing underwear. People.
Actually, I only meant on the attractive women.
I just meant no bras in Star Wars. That's all. They wear underwear, just no bras. That's it. That's crazy.
And he stuck by his word. He stuck by his word.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Green Bear. What? Luke wore a diaper in the back to tank. That's true.
That's not underwear. That's a diaper, and Lucas is kink friendly. So very, very, very progressive for the time.
No, she definitely does not.
No. I'm even going to throw it out there. Padme doesn't either. Most of the times.
That's true. That's true.
He's very consistent. He's very consistent with his vision.
Exactly. Look, I think we've chased all the rabbits. Look, I as far as Bad Batch season 2, there was the publication that said spring 22. We don't know. The answer is we don't know. Kenobi is supposed to be. There's rumors of it coming out May 4th, but those are only rumors. And then Andor said third quarter. And depends what you say, or fourth quarter.
And I'm even gonna throw it out there that in reality, if there's not a specific date, then it's tentative still. If they've told you spring, or if they've told you quarter or whatever, that is a best guess. We hope. We hope, and until it says May 11th, it's
right.
happening.
That's
or just hope for the best. That's true.
Will Morgan, when I say "oh," you say "mega." Oh, mega. That's good. Yeah. So, what are you and Sketchy Rob talking about today?
Well, I'm bringing up the Mace Windu things. I know it drives him crazy, so I purposely am making the Mace Windu thing. I'm going to hear Rob's thoughts on the Ahsoka casting and whatever else jazz that we have to talk about today. It's usually it's basically the same show that we do here, but just with somebody who's really angry about it all. It's fun.
That's right. And she wants wait, for real. What is she wearing on the sail bar? She's wearing a bikini. No underwear under the bikini sheet.
Fun fact that for whatever reason it gets really lost. She wasn't originally called Slave Leia. That was never supposed to be a slave girl's costume. That was supposed to be a dancer's outfit. And there was a cut scene from Return of the Jedi where a bunch of dancers have a dance number. And when the puppets weren't working out, they just tossed it out. They choreographed it, did the whole thing. That's what the outfits were like made for. I even think, what's her name? Is her name Garga? The woman with like 6 breasts, the overweight woman with 6 breasts, she's like dancing at one point. Yeah. I think that was actually filmed to be almost a mockery of it. Not in terms of it being cut, but I think we were going to have the dance number, and then after that, the dance number with the really attractive, beautiful women doing the dance number, we were going to go to her doing it. And it was going to be like, oh, this place is crazy. And I think that's why that B-roll was shot, and that was all that was used. So, anyways, she was always supposed to be a dancer, and that was supposed to be a dancer's outfit.
And in Legends, Mara Jade was a dancer.
Yeah,
was one of his dancers as well.
Remember that really bad? I mean, it was like a pretty model in like a blue outfit, but it was like spandex looking, and it was like had her superimposed in Jabba's palace as like a dancer. It was in Star Wars Insider. It was like it was like they did like a real like photo shoot of Mara Jade, of like what she would have, they cast her and everything. They had like an actor who played. It was really weird. I think it might have ended up in the card game too.
Oh,
the not West End Games, the customizable card game. Whoever made that,
nice. Yeah, and there's Mark Hamilton, Yarna Daal Gargan.
So yeah, Gargan.
Yeah.
I don't mess with that first and that middle name. That's just too much for me. But she's just Gargan.
She had 6 Mount Tantuses.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys in the chat are having way too much fun. You guys, if you've not, please click like on the live stream. It does a tremendous favor. We have 43 in viewers now. That's a pretty high number for my live streams. You guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been a lot of fun. Jason, we're back to our Monday schedule. Thank you so much. I've had a lot of fun today talking to you. And you in the chat, you guys are great. We're demonetized for sure. We said the word. The word you can't say on YouTube. You can't say shill or you're demonetized. And I've said it now many times. So demonetized for sure. So anyhow, thank you so much. You guys liking the video, share it, do the YouTube things. That does a tremendous favor for the channel. And catch Making Star Wars with Jason Ward and Sketchcraft Rob at the top of the hour, right?
Yep. That's it.
Where's Meg? Is she safe? Meg is here. She's in the chat. She's feeling feisty. She already told us that we're full of crap. So
we were too easy on Mace Windu not showing up, and she said, "I don't need this. I'll need this in my day." And she closed the browser, I think.
Bibi Agony, thank you for the $5 super chat for the demonetization. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. YouTube.
Now you can say shill all you want.
I can say she'll at least 5 more times.
5 more times.
Bibi, she supported us. Thank you so much for that. You guys have a wonderful day. And if there's news to talk about, there's things to talk about, look for us here tomorrow. And until then, my friends, may the force be with you all. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.